There you go. I'm just getting it to move ever so slightly so that you can see exactly what it is. How's that for a beautiful hidden secret? And I would never in a million years have spotted that if it hadn't walked out in front of me, or jumped out in front of me and landed at my feet. Otherwise, I would completely have missed that. There's no way on earth. The only person who might have seen it, there's two people. One is Herbie, and the other is Steph. And Steph has got some kind of amazing superpower. I promise you it's a superpower. It's like he just knows where there's some kind of fascinating insect or creepy crawly for him to look at. Something that his son has inherited. Hello. Now the cool thing about this, there's something I want to show you. Okay. Alright, we'll go show you over there. I want to try and show you what else this particular creature has that makes it so fascinating. I've lost it. I took my eyes off it for 1 second. Is it here? Oh, there we go. It's got a really good example of flash coloration underneath here. It's got wings, and beneath that lies a flash of purple, bright, deep purple. And that also works really well. So imagine that a predator like a bird is after this particular creature. So it leaps away, perhaps flutters into the air, stretches out its wings, and the bird's attention is immediately drawn to that bright flash of purple. Then it closes its wings, drops to the ground, lands on a blade of grass, and vanishes. And the bird is fooled by that flash of color and has absolutely no idea where to look for this insect. And remember, birds see in color very well. So having a bright color, and that's the most likely thing that's going to prey on this particular creature. So having a flash of color will be a really good approach. I'm trying to encourage it to open up, but I don't... Oh, there, can you sort of see there? Mm-hmm. There you go. Pinkish purple. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to knock your leg. It's kicking me now, which is fair enough. I would also kick me. There. Yeah, can you see that flash of colour? Oh, and then closed again. And immediately it becomes less obvious. That's called flash coloration. And lots of insects utilize it, lots of frogs utilize it. Frogs in particular, something like a bubbling cassina or a red-legged cassina is another very good example. They've got, the inside of their legs is bright, bright red. So when they jump, the predator's attention is drawn straight to that flash of red, and then they stop and they crouch and they camouflage. And the animal's still looking for that flash of red to guide it to wherever its prey is. So it's a very useful approach. This is amazing because now I'm looking, taken my eye off it, might have jumped away. Can you still see it, Seb?
No.
I think it's gone. And we'll never find it again. Ow. My knee just clunked rather uncomfortably into place. It's gone. There's no way on earth. It reminds me of those books that I had when I was a kid, of Spot the Animal. And speaking of Spot the Animal, Tristan's got a spotted one.
I do. We've got one of the EP clan of hyenas, my favorite clan. These guys are amazing. So this is one of the big females. Look at the size of her tummy. She's obviously had a good feed today, and we're not too far off from where the wild dogs were this morning. So I wonder if she can't scent the dogs around here, and she's now looking. It will be amazing if she does head towards the wild dogs, because wild dog hyena interaction is some of the most exciting thing you can ever see. It just goes completely chaotic. Dogs run everywhere, hyenas run everywhere, noise starts to happen, more hyenas arrive. It just becomes an absolute mess. But an exciting mess at that. Now we're going to try and see where this hyena goes, because it's kind of just walking parallel with the road at this stage, and we are right near Arathusa camp, and like I say, the dogs are not too far from here, but the radio has exploded in a noise of epic proportions, because it sounds like somebody has found Tingana somewhere, so I don't know where he is. We'll try and see if we can't find out. Hopefully he's on Arathusa too, and we can go and see him a little bit later. We are on standby for the wild dogs, and I believe they are still resting, but like I say, not far from here at all, so I'm hoping this hyena is going to start heading in that direction. And she's just wandering off here on the right hand side. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer to her. She's a big girl though, she's a large female, and I'm sure she's from the Elephant Plains clan. I would be surprised if she wasn't. So she's just going through the thicket there, Craig. I don't know if you can see her. So I'm going to try go forward a bit for you, Craig, because she was probably just underneath that wattle, walking off there. So she's just going in the opposite direction. We need her to actually come back towards where we are, and that will be in the right direction to where the dogs are. The dogs are sitting somewhere on my left-hand side, and she's kind of moving off a little bit to the south. But interestingly enough, she is walking with her head and her nose down. So I wonder if she's not following these dogs. Now I'm just going to let one of the vehicles know. Lou, if you're interested, there's a Misi here walking towards you. So, this hyena is just sort of drifting away slightly, but I wonder if it's not going to pick up the scent. Look how it stops every now and then and smells. It's just through the gap there. I don't know if you can see it through there. There we go. It's very well hidden now, but it's stopping and smelling every now and then, and I think just maybe it will pick up that scent and then start to maybe turn and come back this way, which would be really, really nice. Now I'm just going to try and go forward and see if we can't keep sort of visual of it. I just want to let Louis know exactly where it went. It's just there by that termite mound, Louis. Hello, how are you? Very well, thanks, man. Good. We're live at the moment, but I'll chat to you later. Good. That Misi just went behind the termite mound coming this side. No, I didn't see. Okay, cool. Hello, guys. How are you doing? Sorry, so Louis was just asking me if I saw an elephant, because his guest said he saw an elephant, but I didn't see an elephant, I must be honest, and we were driving very slowly there. Now, where has our hyena gone to? I think it went trotting off. I wonder if they're not going to head up this way somewhere. Let's just go around, because the road is bending slightly. Maybe I'll be able to see it. But like I say, we're not far from the dogs, and I'm hoping if the wild dogs wake up, then they'll start coming. Go ahead, Louis. Copy that. Thanks, Louis. So it sounds like we can make our way towards the wild dogs, which is good news. So hopefully this hyena is going to start deciding to come this way, and we'll get an epic struggle between the two of them, and we'll find them sort of chasing one another around. The problem is where the wild dogs are is not a very friendly area for off-roading, so hopefully they go up towards the airstrip side and the hyena goes to the airstrip, and then we can watch them chase each other around the airstrip, because that will be far easier for Craig, definitely, and far easier on Wendy. And Wendy's had a tough day today already. She's definitely been given a run around. Following those Nkuhumas through the block that we did was not easy for her, so she got a little bit of a roughing up this morning. And it's quite funny, when I got into the vehicle this afternoon, she looked as though she was camouflaged for this afternoon safari. There was just leaves and branches all over the car. Inside the footwell is still full of leaves at the moment, so I'll have to clean her out at some point and try and give her a bit of TLC this afternoon. But wild dogs, unfortunately, are not the nicest thing when it comes to a car. Now, apparently they're somewhere in this thicket, but I wonder if they're not going to go around the other side. So I think they've gone into this sort of dense Tamboti thickets. There we go. They're starting to come out that way. So we're going to go back a little bit. Thanks, Craigie, for a second. So it seems like they are heading out, which is great. They're heading out into a more open section, which is fantastic news for us. And I'm so excited to be with the wild dogs. I love spending time with wild dogs. They're one of the best animals to follow at this time of the day. They get very, very active, and they start to then move. And like I say, it's now time to start hunting. So let's just see now. They're coming out onto the road. So let's have a look quickly. Well spotted, Craig. I couldn't see them at all. So here they come. Look at how heavily full they are. Is that not... That female might be pregnant, actually. Let's go forward a little bit. She does. She looks heavily pregnant. So I wonder where they're going to den this year. Now, she should be coming out just in front of us here. Are you going to stop there? No. There we go. Look. So that looks like the alpha female. You can see her teats are swelling. So she's definitely got little puppies on the way. So those won't be too much longer. I would imagine probably within the next few weeks, she's going to be starting to display and to drop her puppies. Now there comes the alpha male behind, so you can see while he's not nearly as pregnant, he is also full, so it would be a bit of a worry if he was pregnant, but you can see he's also full, so they had a good meal this morning. So Craig's having a bit of a laugh at me because I said that he doesn't look like the female who's pregnant. But the rest will all start filing out now shortly. There we go. And I love when wild dogs start at this time of the day. There's a lot of social interactions. You'll find them kind of going up against one another, sniffing, playing. There'll be a little bit of sort of jumping on one another and running around. Now, interestingly enough, they all seem to be sneezing, which is a little bit of a concerning sign, because sometimes it can be a sign that they have distemper when they sneeze like this. So it's not the best thing to be hearing, and I'll certainly ask our wild dog researcher Grant, who spends a lot of time with the dogs, whether or not it is a sign. But I'm sure he's mentioned it to me, if they sneeze a lot, that it can be a sign for that, which is a big problem if they do have canine distemper, because it is very, very potent in terms of spreading amongst the pack, and all of them will then get infected very quickly. So I'll just have to check that when I get back, but it might not be. I know that they have sort of different symptoms, but they are on the move now and they are starting to go. So what I want to try and do is keep up with this pack, because they soon can disappear. But this is exciting. It's that time of the day where the dogs are going to start moving. For us, we're going to see them starting to go on the hunt now. The problem is they're heading in a direction that is not ideal for us, because they're going southwards. We won't be able to follow them for too much longer. But this is so cool to see. I love wild dogs, and so many people find them unattractive. I find them very, very cool looking, with these sort of blotchy pattern and the white tails, and the fact that they're all got this unique sort of coloration. It really is an amazing animal for me. I love sort of seeing the wild dogs, and the fact that they are the way that they are, and the way that they move, and their sort of general behavior that they have. They're an exciting animal to spend time with. There we go. Looks like we're all going to lie down a little bit. If only that hyena had arrived now, we would have definitely seen a bit of action between this lot, because that hyena would have certainly spotted the wild dogs now. Look at the size of those ears as well. I love the ears. And you see how the ears also work all the time. So much like the kudu that we saw earlier today, those ears are all going to be helping in terms of trying to determine what is going on around them, and whether or not there's going to be a food source around them, or if there's a potential predator. They can use all of that to their advantage. But I don't think they're quite ready to really start running just yet. They're starting to kind of wake up. But so Monique from London, you're wondering which pack of wild dogs it is. It's the Sands pack, as far as I know. There should be one individual here with quite bad wounds on its back area and around its tail, so that should be them. And it's definitely the old male is the alpha male from the Sands pack. That was the second dog that we saw coming out of the bush. So it is the Sands pack, and this is generally the sort of most northeastern area of their sort of territory. They typically don't go too much further northeast from here. Sometimes a little bit into Djuma, but the Investec pack is more on Djuma, Buffelshoek, Torchwood. These guys tend to spend more time in the sort of southwest and then central parts of the Sabi Sands itself. So Susie, you say the alpha female looks as though she's about to pop. indeed, Susie. I don't think it's going to be much more than a week or two until she pops, and they'll be looking for den sites. So what they do is they go to termite mounds and they investigate the mounds. They'll go and look, they'll sniff around, and she'll keep doing this until sort of a day or two before, and by then she would have decided where she wants to have her puppies. She'll then have them, and then they are pretty much bound there for the first sort of 12 weeks. They'll stay at that den, and the pack will then run from the den itself. Now, if they do den somewhere around here, now hopefully it will be around sort of Arathusa area, then we will see wild dogs every single day for the winter season, which is an amazing thing to have happen. So hopefully that will be the case, and I'll be super excited if it is. Now, I've also heard quite interesting news, is that we came in on a road and came towards sort of this area, and Jamie said she had kudu alarm calling around that area on the boundary with Arathusa and Djuma. I've just heard somebody's found tracks of a female leopard, which I would imagine is Shadow, on top of my vehicle tracks going eastwards. So if there's anybody in that area, it might be good to let them know, Chantal, that is probably Shadow walking on the road there somewhere. So the kudu that we're alarm calling, it means that it is Shadow in that area. But the dogs are still a little bit sleepy. They're not quite awake just yet. What I might do is just go round to the others and just see if they're not ready to wake up and start moving. And we'll see if we can go and check out that pregnant female and see just how pregnant she actually is. She looks huge at the moment, so definitely not long now. Now, the thing is with wild dogs is that they can have quite large litters. So you'll find sometimes the females will end up having, 18 puppies at a time, which is a serious handful. Normally the average is sort of anywhere between sort of 6 and 12. That's normal. The most that I've ever seen in a pack is 14, which is quite a number of them. But I have heard of cases where 16 to 18 dogs have been seen. So that's puppies have been seen, which is quite a serious amount. Now look at them, they're just lying all over the place here, and it's so beautiful with that sun in the background and then this wild dog just lying on its mound. There we go. Isn't that a magical scene? So there we go. Very, very cool. I must be honest, I love spending time with these guys. The problem with them is that because they're so endangered and so sort of rare in these parts, we get this situation where we find that it's a very busy sighting. So lots of people like to come to them and see what's going on with them. So often it can be a little bit of a rush sighting. Now hopefully they are going to start moving shortly. But I see that none of them are sneezing now, which means there's nothing really to worry about. So I think they're all okay. Maybe it was just a bit of dust. So David, you say, they're not sneezing because of dust from the cars. It could be. So where they are is on the deliveries road to Arathusa. If you actually look in front, you can see the sign with the dog sitting in front of us. So over there. There we go, welcome to Arathusa. And so lots of cars are going back and forth from this area at the moment, and that means lots of dust in the air. So they could very well be sneezing from that. I've seen now that none of them are actually sneezing at the moment, which means that in all likelihood it's okay. If it was something like distemper, you'd find that it would be a constant thing and they'd all be doing it non-stop, whereas now they've all stopped doing it, and I haven't noticed any of them sneezing since we've been sitting with them, and they've all laid down again. So it could just be from the cars itself. I know I was sneezing earlier as well from all the dust, so it is very, very possible. Look at the female coming. Look how fat she is. Look at how it's a shame. She is so big at the moment. My girl is a tough. You can see she's even panting. It can't be easy when you're that full as a wild dog. She's more round than she is tall at this stage. She's having a tough time of it. But yeah, that is close. The teats are even starting to swell. And when you start to see the teeth swelling, that she's starting to produce milk means that she's not too far away from giving birth. I would say within, like I say, the next week or two, maximum, she's going to be giving birth to those. The problem with wild dogs is that that's no guarantee that she's going to be in this area, because they move such massive distances that sometimes she could end up being in a situation where by tomorrow they could be in the southern part of the Sabi Sands and no longer in this area. So 2 weeks is still a long time when it comes to actually giving birth. But hopefully they've found somewhere here that they like, and that they're actually going to spend time and utilize this area as a den area, because that will just be the most spectacular thing for us as guides. We'll be able to see such interesting behavior, and there are very few things as cute as a baby wild dog. I wonder if you can actually see them moving. It would be so nice if she just sat still and we spent some time, and if we could actually see the babies moving inside there. I reckon that you probably could. It wouldn't surprise me. And we've got two that are busy playing around here, so while she waddles off into the sunset, there's a couple of them on my right-hand side that are being naughty and busy playing around and sort of jumping on each other. So there they are. And look at that, in that sort of golden light. And so when I was saying just now that a disease spreads quite quickly with the dogs, you can see why. They're always sort of going at one another and touching one another and sort of giving each other, bites and licking each other. And so that's why anything that's spread through saliva spreads very, very fast. And part of the reason why their numbers have decreased so much over the last little bit. I wonder, is there a tick on that one's eye, Craig? On the one on the right. Can you zoom in on its eye for me? Right-hand side? Other one? That one there. Yes, look at the size of that tick on its eye. So, it's not a tick. What is that? Is it just a marking? H. Macy, you're wondering if the pack did have distemper, would the pups be born with it? Well, if the pack has distemper and they don't get treated, within the next week they will all be dead. That's how bad distemper is for wild dogs. So it's not something that we would want, but they can be treated for it. And so if they were treated, then no, the pups would not have distemper. It would be a situation where they would be all okay. But I don't think they have it. Now that I'm just sitting and looking at all of them, none of them are foaming, none of them are sort of sneezing too much, and coughing is probably the biggest sign of distemper. You'll find that they cough quite a bit, and so there's no coughing happening at the moment, which means that we are all okay. So I reckon these dogs are just fine and healthy. There's no need to stress. There's also a big program on at the moment where they're treating all the wild dogs in Kruger and the greater Kruger area for distemper, and they've done a lot of blood work and they've done a lot of vaccine work, and so it seems at this stage that most of the dogs have been treated. I think the Sands pack, which is the pack we're with, was the last pack to be done, and they were done quite recently, so I think all is okay. But look at this dog when it comes alert. Look at that. See that stance and the ears? What have you seen? They always remind me of Mickey Mouse for some reason. I know that they don't look like Mickey Mouse, but just their sort of ear shape. So, Lady Starfire, distemper is a disease that is spread into canines, so it's basically prevalent in dogs more than anything else. And how they contract it is because we have a lot of communities on the edge of these areas, and there's a lot of dogs, unfortunately, that don't have access to good veterinary care because of the fact that we're in an area where we're sort of in a more rural section, and there's a lot of poverty out here, and so there's stray dogs that wander off, and they've contracted the distemper from other dogs, and they then wander towards the reserve, and wild dogs then go drink from the same place that those dogs have drank from, or they actually kill that dog, and that's how they contract it. It's much like rabies. It's a very similar system to how rabies works. It's just within canines, it is so contagious that once it gets into a dog pack, it's very difficult to stop it. This is very cool. The light is beautiful this afternoon. But it seems like they're just still quite happy to rest for a while. I don't think they're going to be moving just yet. It's kind of one or two of them are restless, but the majority of them are just trying to take it very easy at this stage. So, Beard, you're wondering if wild dogs would ever approach human habitation? Well, yes, they would. So, wild dogs, we're right at the lodge, as you can see. We're at Arathusa Lodge, so you know all about Arathusa. You stayed here, Beard. And so they literally will run through the lodges. I've heard of them running through villages in parts of Zambia and Botswana. And so, yes, they do from time to time. What are you chewing on? Sometimes find they chew on millipedes, but there's not very many millipedes around, so I'm not sure what it's found itself there. Maybe it found itself some sort of beetle that it's decided to eat. Wild dogs are quite curious, and they'll often do things like this, so it does happen from time to time, where they'll pick up things and chew them and bite them. Are you very aware of what's going on? So, Becca, you're wondering about how many wild dogs make up a pack usually. Well, it depends. I mean, it's obviously these days the numbers of wild dogs are less and less as sort of time has gone on. But Generally in the Kruger system, the average sort of pack size is about 10 dogs, 10 to 12 dogs. There are big packs, so the pack around Orpen at one stage was almost 40, but there are also smaller packs. We see packs here of 3 individuals. There's 2 different packs of 3 individuals, so the average is around 10 to 12 dogs. That would be kind of average for Greater Kruger National Park. In the past, it wasn't uncommon to get packs of dogs that went over 60 at times, so it's just that their numbers have decreased, and unfortunately, in the areas that we're in, particularly in the Sabi Sand section, there's just too many predators for a pack of that size to actually do well. You'll find hyenas, lion, leopard hammer the pups when they're younger, and so their numbers just can't grow to that size. Now, there's lots of other vehicles that want to come to this sighting, so I think we unfortunately are going to have to leave. I can hear lots of guys on standby, so we're going to probably have our last sort of visuals of these wild dogs before we allow some of the others to come in. But isn't that a magic scene? Sunset, wild dogs, really is beautiful. You see they're still busy grooming one another at this stage. Right, so we're going to, like I say, make space for some of the others and allow everybody to experience the wonders of the wild dogs. We've been so fortunate to see them, and the fact that they came out of the thicket and allowed us to see them in this beautiful light is quite something. So while we do that, let's go across to Jamie, who's still meandering in the late afternoon sunshine.
I'm still meandering and watching the sun go down, which of course for us means not yet, but almost time to be meandering in the direction of home. I'm very glad that Tristan got to see those wild dogs. We actually saw something of our own on our walk. We saw a hyena, and it looked very much, we were close to the den site. I don't know if it was my imagination, but it looked an awful lot around the size of that older cub at the hyena den. What it's doing here, away from the den, I have absolutely no idea. Look, the grass was long. It might have been a slightly larger hyena. It might have been a sub-adult hyena, and I just didn't realize at the time. We suspect that we've been very close to finding a leopard the whole afternoon. There was a moment when the Franklins went absolutely wild and started alarm calling, and we raced in, and we heard something thump. We couldn't find any tracks, and we couldn't find any sign of anything. I think it was her jumping down, because we found her tracks a little bit further along back on that road, and I didn't stop to show you because we were actually trying to find her before it gets dark. But there's shadows tracks coming in from Arathusa, and then there's tracks coming this way. I'm not sure if they're the same tracks or not. Something else that I found to show you, although it's not going to be as spectacular as it would have been earlier, you don't really get the full effect of this particular wing. It's that it belongs to a spider hunting wasp, and it has the most, in the sun, it has the most astounding light-catching colors. Purple and blue, and all sorts of things in between. Now, of course, in the dark it looks almost completely black, and not very attractive at all. But I've been clutching it and carrying it around with me the whole time, so I thought perhaps I'd better show you. It's very, very, very hazy today, which I think is also going to mean the light's going to disappear faster than we realize. So I think we better keep moving. We better keep going. It makes me wonder, I don't know whether James or Tristan agree, but it makes me wonder if there hasn't been a fire somewhere quite far away, in maybe towards the Sabi area or something like this, or like that. There's a very thick feeling to the air. I've been sneezing all day, so I sympathize with the wild dogs. There's definitely something, and the sunset is not particular. I mean, for us, it's not a particularly spectacular sunset. It's very, yeah, understated, I guess, would be the best word. Still beautiful, but something is definitely filling the air. It is winter though. There means a lot of dust gathering in the atmosphere. Alright, now I know we chatted to James earlier about perhaps trying to find Shadow or find this leopard that we've been searching for. Let's go across to see how he plans on going about that.
Yes, we are indeed now hot on the trail of the tracks that Rexon's been following and that Jamie has spoken of and that Tristan has spoken of, and so we might be lucky, and as we drive gently down this road, behold the magnificence of the setting African sun. Ah, magnificent. Is that not very special? Now, of course, a leopard in this light is the ultimate safari shot, if you can get it. A wonderful afternoon. What a day we've had of lions and wild dogs. That doesn't happen every day. Very, very lucky indeed. I knew it wouldn't take very long. Leo Smith has managed to find himself another lion in the Mara.
Lions all over the place today. It seems the Nkuhumas are now one of the Angama girls. Oh, roll over with that fat tummy of yours. Now, it looks like she's caught a warthog and she's had it all to herself. There we go. Is it a warthog? It looks like a warthog, yes. And that is an Angama Pride specialty at the moment, is munching on wart pigs, waiting, of course, for the great migration to descend. Although she looks very content with herself at this very moment, after snatching that warthog. Now, I always like to check this area in the late evening. We often find the Angama girls here. Normally more than one, though, so I wonder where the rest of the Pride are. I wonder if they've got a snack of their own. Oh, is she going to pop her head up? Nice cool breeze coming off the escarpment. And as I said, it's very, very strange light this evening, quite diffused because of the fire that is raging in south in Tanzania. You can actually see the line of smoke there. And there we go. Westwards. And literally our house is directly below the setting sun at the moment. So Angama camps on that little peninsula and we're in the valley off to the left. Well, let me just try and have a look if there are any other girls around here. I don't see any just yet. Looks like she's eaten most of that pig all by herself. What a greedy guts. She probably means she's not one of the mothers of the 7 cubs. And this has been such a little successful sort of jaunt for lions for me in this area. Let me just move forward a little bit, Dave. Alrighty. There's some people have spotted that we have spotted a lion. Now, Steve, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. It says, how likely is it for a lioness to mate with a different pride? Well, completely impossible, Steve. So prides are females. The males are known as coalitions, which I think is what you are asking. And so, Steve, how likely would it be for a female to mate with a male that is not from the dominant coalition in the area that she falls in? Now, Steve, it is quite possible, and it happens quite often. Now, there are certain male lions that don't live in large coalitions, so a single male lion who would never be able to take a territory all to himself. Actually, she does look like one of the moms. You can see quite an engorged teats there. But it is very likely. So in certain areas, up to 50% of the cubs are born from not the pride males. So isn't that fascinating? So what happens is these individual male lions that don't have their own territory and they're sort of nomadic will sneak in and mate with females with estrus and then sneak out again before the big boys catch them. And it is one of their sort of tactics to spread their seed and their genetic line. So if you're not lucky enough to be born in a big group of brothers, or you don't stumble upon a mate to take over a territory with or form a coalition with early on when you become a nomad, it is a very, very good way to spread your genetic line is to be sneaky and come in on the edges. And I've actually seen the lions in this tree. It's a lovely little shepherd's tree, and so we have actually seen the lions climb in that tree before as well. Oh, it is a beautiful evening, even with the smoky skies. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, she's obviously enjoying this nice cool breeze. It'll keep a few of the biting flies away. Okay, well, we got to start rushing up towards the mountain to the west. So remember to stay tuned with James and Tristan and Jamie as they explore the beautiful Sabi Sands in South Africa. And we're going to go start climbing our mountain, and hopefully we will see you all tomorrow, or maybe not. Who knows what's going to happen? So bye-bye and across to James to see how his adventures at Djuma are going.
Well, my adventures of Djuma have stopped me moving here. So we watch the sun go down, observe this focus pull. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to... You are? Oh, there it is. Sun's just touched the horizon. We're close to where the tracks of shadow were last seen. We did have some squealing francolins. We quickly drove off road to see what they were shouting at, and I think what they were yelling at was simply a warthog that had got a fright, exploded out of its burrow, and they then sort of got very upset and started squawking. But then they desisted their squawking, and that normally means that there was not a predator around. So we're sort of in the area now. We might be lucky. We'll do our best to see if we can't find old Shadzy.
Ready for another focus pull?
I'm ready for another focus pull. Go for it, Fergus. Oh, magnificent. Well done. Let's carry on. We're not going to wait for the sun to go down. We don't want to tarry too long. Let's see if we can find Shadow the Leopard. It would be very nice. She just has an unfortunate habit of not climbing sufficient numbers of trees, which means that you really got to check the termite mounds and in all the bushes and the ground, of course, but now it's becoming very difficult to check for tracks on the ground. Oh, just got hit in the face by an insecta. I got absolutely wound by one yesterday. I was deeply upset. I couldn't see out of my right eye for at least 30 seconds. Right, now this is where they came. This is Impala Plains. This is where Tristan said the tracks of the leopard were on top of his, and her path from here would normally be, what is normally be? Often goes down through the road there on towards Zoe's road. And I wonder if that isn't what she's going to do now, and so we'll just head around that way. Actual tracking now becomes next to impossible, and so the best thing that we can do is to try and find her kind of just on guesswork as to where she might have gone. Very long grass on the right hand side, general direction east. Wouldn't surprise me to find her that she'd headed through here. We've seen her heading through this area before. And so while we just knock around here quickly, let's head back across to Jamie and get her update on where she thinks Shadow's gone.
I don't know where Shadow has gone. Perhaps she's doing something similar to what I'm doing, which is taking a brief break in the long grass. And of course, if I can disappear, I'm not even spotted, which means absolutely a Shadow could as well. Now this looks like the idyllic spot, does it not? The grasses look so soft and kind and forgiving. It just looks like the perfect place to come down and lie down, like you're lying in a soft meadow. It's not. Tussle 3 on. waiting patiently to spike us as we walk through. Now, somewhere my gaiters have disappeared. My gaiters are the things that we all wear, gaiters that wrap around our ankles and that protect us from ticks and from grass seeds. How on earth they've managed to disappear, I do not know. I wore them one day and the next they had vanished. Perhaps a hyena has them somewhere and is wearing them as a fashion statement. But the end result with this tassel 3-on is that it is very, very good at digging into animal fur, and it's also very good at digging into human socks and shoes. My poor shoes are now so full of grass seeds, and I've spent the entire walk being such a baby about it. But this is why we wear gaiters. This stuff is prickly. This is why we wear gaiters. Oh well, that's a job for tonight. After I've walked, there's no point in even starting now, after we've walked through the rest of the grass on our way home, out back towards the camp, because it is getting dark. Oh, mustn't start, because once I start, then it becomes so itchy. As soon as you touch your skin where the grass seeds have been sitting, it becomes so itchy. I'm not going to touch it. Thanks, Lou. Oh, really nice bearded woodpecker. Can you see it there, Seb? You got it? Yeah, well done. That was a nice surprise. Bearded woodpecker hopping along the marula tree. Cool. It's a nice one for some of you to add to your bird lists. And disappearing off behind the tree. I wonder how close it'll let us get. Shall we try? Let's just try. Why not? Let's see. One of the the female golden-tailed came into camp yesterday and was hopping around very close to our feet. I couldn't believe it. And generally we don't see them all that frequently. Can you see it there, Seb? It's, yes, I do. It's flown onto that tree. Yeah. It's getting a little bit dark, isn't it? Very difficult for us to see. Cool. It flew. Off it goes. Okay. And much like the bird, we too must fly away, or at least maybe not fly, but make our way back towards the camp. It is getting dark, it's getting harder and harder to see, make out animals. And I was wrong. It's not a subdued sunset at all. It's a very pretty one. And for the remainder of the drive, you'll be with James and Tristan. Off you go and enjoy the sunset with Tristan now.
Is that not one of the most beautiful scenes you've ever seen? The sun setting over Arathusa. It is spectacular. So we were busy trying to kind of make our way home, and well, not home, we're making our way northwards towards where Shadow's tracks were, see if we can't give James a hand, and we just got completely mesmerized by the sunset as we were driving around. It was just so beautiful, and what a special afternoon it's been. I'm so excited that I got to see wild dogs again. I love spending time with dogs. Unfortunately, they've only just started to run now. They've just kind of got into a very dense, thick area, and it's absolute chaos with the number of vehicles. So I'm hoping they are heading slowly in a northeasterly direction. I wouldn't be surprised if be nice if they do come onto that side. It would definitely help us if they came that way, and it would be really good if they did. Now, we're going to try and head northwards towards where Shadow's tracks were. There's also reports of Tingana somewhere in that area. I can't copy nicely because our radio this afternoon, for some reason, is not even working. There was a vehicle that was not even 50 meters away that I was trying to talk to, and they couldn't hear me, so it's battling a little bit. But we're going to try and head a little bit up that way, and maybe Tingana is somewhere in that area too, and we'll be able to either find him or Shadow between myself and James. Although James seems to be the leopard whisperer the last few days, so maybe he's going to find Shadow and maybe we'll find Tingana and we can have both. Wouldn't that be nice? So hopefully with James's leopard luck that we've had lately, that we'll both be able to get to see a spotted cat. It's been almost a week for me since I've seen a spotted cat, which is far too long. I'm in serious withdrawals at the moment. I've had great sightings of everything else, but at a week long without spots in my life is really a very, very long time. Now, in this particular sort of situation, the last leopard I saw was Shadow, actually, on Saturday last week with her cub. But I wonder if we're not going to break our drought with her again. Sure, that sky is just so, so amazing. There's a little section coming up now where there's a whole bunch of dead trees, and it should be really, really beautiful with the sunset. I'm coming up to it now. Let me just show you. Hold on, we're almost there. It's one of my favorite places to watch the sunsets. You'll see why now. It's just something about having all these dead knob thorns together. There we go, Craig. That will be much easier for you now that I come to a stop. And there we go, those sort of dead branches just reaching into the sky. There's something about it for me. I really, really enjoy this particular section at sunset. And full moon is always a good time to come here too, because the full moon rises between these dead trees and it also looks quite eerie. But look at those colors. Today is one of the best sunsets we've had in a while. These really are. The colors and the clouds that are blowing over the horizon are very, very pretty indeed. Not the worst way to end one's day, that's for sure. And they say that Africa has some of the most amazing sunrises and sunsets, and well, today they're showing off. Africa is showing off. A day later than Africa Day, but it is showing just.
Hello everybody. I was just saying, we aren't live, are we? And well, Fergus said no, we aren't, but now we are. Hello. We're still looking for Shadow and hoping to find her tracks somewhere around here. Hoping to find her. And what we have found is Lex Hess. And what I think we'll do is ask Lex Hess what he thinks, because he's been around here looking for Shadow all afternoon. There are her tracks, actually. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Are you all behaving? No. Oh, good. I'm very pleased to hear you are not behaving. Where do you think she's gone?
I haven't got a clue. Unfortunately, James, I'm embarrassed to say I drove over her tracks over here.
Good heavens, did you?
So I'm not sure, but we had kudu. What's that?
Impala hitting each other, I think.
Oh, Impala. We had kudu barking up here in this area.
Okay, kudu barking up here.
And we picked up one kudu walking along very casually.
Okay.
And that's all. That's the only info I have for you.
Alright. I'll just carry on down here then.
Yeah, we're going to go to the line.
Okay. Enjoy them.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy. They're the Impala that were fighting. Now let's just watch these guys, because if this leopard is around here, she will notice that she will immediately hear this horn knocking, and it will induce her to come and investigate if she's hungry, because she knows they're not looking out for predators. Now K4O, you want to know why it is that we avoid looking at the other vehicles? K4O, it's just got to do with the fact that unless they have agreed to be on screen, you can't legally film them, I think. I don't know how a news broadcast manages to get away with it, but we're obviously not a news broadcast. And so, just to avoid any kind of potential, not unpleasantness, but awkwardness, we don't film anybody unless they've signed a release form. So that's why you'll notice we will film some of the guides, some not. Yeah, this is interesting, because they're not making a typical rutting sound. It sounds like an alarm, but it's very clearly not an alarm. And Lex and I were discussing the other day how on earth you tell the difference. This could be fantastic if they start fighting. There we go. Did you hear that sound? Ba-bam! Now a leopard in this area would almost certainly hear that. And she'd come sneaking along. There we are. Let's just watch them carefully. Obviously the one on the right hand side is the more dominant, it would seem. I just don't want to start the car. I'm going to have to. No, I'm not. Can you see them there? I know they're behind the bush, but still. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And you can see they've been fighting. It always looks to me like they've got shiners. They've got this kind of glazed look above their eyes. Their eyes have often got very little fur around them. That's great. Look at them in there. Our leopard would be in prime position to grab one of these things now. Not paying the slightest bit of attention to what's going on around them. So we'd do well just to check the termite mounds around here. See if perhaps there isn't something on top of them. No. Alright, let's carry on. So Lex said he thought the tracks had gone down here. He also said he'd driven over the tracks and he had shame written on his face. If I had $1 for every track I'd driven over, I'd be a very rich man. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm just looking at every single termite mound because, as I said, I said it to Fergus actually. I said with grass this long, a leopard is going to be in a tree or on a termite mound unless she's really on the move. And so it's always a good idea just to have a look. There we go. I don't see any leopards on these termite mounds, so I think we'll carry on. Well, it's time to flick some lights on. And just remember, fireside chat on Sunday to celebrate the contribution of Karula to all of our lives. Many of you have been watching her for, well, some as much as 9 years. And so we're going Sunday between 5:45 and 6 o'clock. And you can share your memories. We're going to share our favourite memories of her. And then, well, we're not going to postulate as to what's happened, but that is what we're going to do on Sunday evening. Then, also, just remember you can buy a t-shirt that will immortalize Karula in your wardrobe and on your good person. And you can do that by just going to the blog at blog.wildearth.tv and you'll find the link if you want a t-shirt. You haven't seen a leopard yet, have you, Fergus? Not. Oof, that is beautiful light. It really is quite stunning. I'll just drive very slowly along and we'll enjoy that light. Of course, unfortunately, we're now in the bumpiest part of the road, but we'll get on to some smooth stuff now. And there we are. Should be pretty smooth now. It would be so special to just bump into shadow down the road here. Come on, Shadzi. I suspect she'll be doing a little patrol. I wonder if I think she killed the other day. I wonder if she's either finished or she maybe lost that kill. But at this time of the night it is a very good idea just to turn off and have a listen. Let's see if we can hear anything. Can't hear anything and I don't see any tracks. But of course it is now starting to get a bit dark, and so finding tracks is not easy. I'm not sure why I'm whispering, but it seems like the right thing to do. Okay, let's go. I've just got a message that Tristan is down. I'm not sure what that means. Ah, there's a signal issue with him. And pajamas, of course, as well. She's going to put on her pajamas because it's got too dark to be wandering about here on foot. Oh, Tristan has succeeded where we have failed.
Right, so we are trying to get across here and quickly find Tingana because he's heading right towards the cut line between Arathusa and Elephant Plain. So I'm trying to catch up with him through this thicket. So it's Ferrari Safari in snail pace at the moment, which is not very easy at all. So it's really quite dense and it felt like a bit of a rush to get to him. He all of a sudden apparently stood up and just started marching to the west as only Tingana can do. I can see him now in front actually. He's going up towards a termite mound, and if he sits on a termite mound with this sunset that we've got, it will be incredible. Look at the color of on the bonnet alone of the car. It really is quite special to see how bright it is. Now, I'm just going to turn off my LED so I don't blind somebody because the LED is quite bright. Now I've got to try and see if I can't get away through here. So as you can hear, poor Wendy's day of or afternoon off is gone to the dogs, as so to speak. It really is not going to be a pleasant afternoon for Wendy. And he's just walking through the thicket there. So there he goes. You can just see his tail end. So I know it's not the best sighting at the moment, but hopefully he's going to head somewhere where we'll be able to see him quite nicely. But I'm so excited. Spots in my life again makes me very, very, very happy indeed. So I'm going to try and just catch up with him. But he seems as though, whatever the situation, he is on a serious patrol at the moment. He's going quite quickly. So I don't know if he's heard something, or maybe he has heard Anderson calling, or he's heard some sort of prey animal somewhere in here, and that's why he's decided to start marching so quickly. I'm worried that he's going to cross the cut line before we're able to actually see him. Sorry, Craig. So, Craig, the torment on the back is this afternoon. Everywhere. It really is not easy in here, especially when he starts walking at the speed that he's walking. Now, I'm trying to see if I can't find a way around that I can keep up with him from the other side, because otherwise we're going to stare at the back of a car all day long, which is not ideal. So careful there, Craig. The other problem is the Ellies seem to have been busy here, so... Wow, it is dense in here. So I'm just trying to get through here, but it's proving to be very, very difficult. It's much like it was this morning. As you can see, there's trees and bushes everywhere. Come on, Wendy. There we go. This is very thick, but maybe we can fit through here. Okay, Craig, you're gonna have to duck. Hopefully I don't blind Craig. Oh, that's a tree. As you can see, it's raining leaves now, but Tingana is... We're trying our best to...
And we're back again, everybody. Sorry about that. Tristan's obviously in a bit of a difficult area, so I'm sorry about that. I'm sure he will try and stay with Tingana. We did have some leopard tracks going this way along the Gari main road, but I don't know whose they were or how old they are in this light. So we'll just drive gently along here and see what else we can see as we go. Maybe Hosana and Shungalai. We're just trying to figure out where Tristan is actually, because obviously he's in a dodgy signal area. Do we know if he came off Arathusa? No. Okay, I think he is on Arathusa, so he's probably far west there. Okay, what we're going to do is go towards Treehouse Dam and see if there isn't anything going on there. Very little going on at the waterholes at all apparently today, despite the fact that it was a good 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a bit odd. All the elephants unfortunately seem to have absconded. Hot dog, is your question what is the biggest lesson I've ever learnt about life? Is that correct? I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you right. Final control, is that the correct assessment of Hot Dog's question? Oh, the best lesson that I've learnt about life so far indeed is what you are asking. Hot Dog? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's quite a personal question, you know. I mean, we all learn things all the time. I suppose the lesson that I continually keep learning is that judging other people is almost universally a mistake. And it's a lesson that I keep learning. I think that's probably, we don't understand. I mean, this is really quite a philosophical discussion for a nighttime safari, but we'll go with it. It really is, we don't ever, it's almost impossible for us to put ourselves in other people's shoes to understand their makeup, because everybody is completely unique, and therefore their reactions to different situations and their environment, the environment that's created them, the genetics that have created them, have all conspired to make them the people that they are, and therefore they will almost universally not react to situations in the same way that you might, and therefore, well, judging them becomes a very unkind and fruitless exercise, and it's a lesson that someone with an ego like mine has to keep learning. There you go, my personal sharing with you. Let's go back across to Tingana and Tristan.
Well, we're still trying to play catch up with Tingana. He's being a bit of an impossible leopard this afternoon. He's walking through horrible stuff, and it is really difficult to keep up with him at the moment. We've gone through thickets, we've gone through massive trees, Craig's been whipped in the face, we've gone through aardvark burrows. It's been a bit of a nightmare to try and keep up with him, and we are still trying to see if we can't keep up with him, but he's just taking us on this sort of horrible path through this area. And like I say, we are going to cross a cut line at some point fairly shortly. There we go, there's an aardvark burrow. Ooh, this is not nice in here at all. Now I'm trying to just find my way. The elephants have also not made this very easy either, so I have to just be careful here. So Craig, can you grab that? Now, it just seems that we're just destined to follow tail in this thicket. it's really just almost impossible to keep up with them at the moment. We're trying our level best, but as you can see, it's not really that easy. I also don't want to really break Wendy too much. She's done such a good job today and she's really had a tough time of it. So I'm trying not to go too fast through this thicket. But it's amazing how quickly a leopard can move when you try and move through a thicket like this. Trying to just see where he's gone, but I've lost him. He was somewhere in this thicket, but I've lost where he went. He's moved too fast for us, and this is typical Tingana maneuver. He just goes so quick that you can't actually keep up with him, and he loses you in these thickets, and once that happens, that's the end of it. But I think we might have lost him, because I know the other vehicle is asking me if we can see him, and I can't see him. Ah, there we go, there he is. So Rita, you're wondering why leopards are always found in tall grasses or thickets. Well, it's because they can camouflage here, and a leopard is an ambush predator, which means that if any time it can camouflage is a good time. No, we're not going to be able to go through there. This leopard is giving us an absolute nightmare this evening. And this is when Tingana's like this, sometimes he makes me get very frustrated. Some days he's an absolute champion and he lies right out in the open and you can get to him, and then other days he's like this where we can't actually go anywhere because there's just stumps everywhere and he walks too fast and it becomes an absolute... We can get over this. I'm trying to see if we can't get around towards where he is. He's about to cross the cut line, so I don't even know if we're going to be able to catch up to him before he gets there, but I'll try and get one more sort of sight of him. Now, while I do that, let's go back to James and see if he's had any luck with another leopard that can prove to be quite difficult to find.
I have not had any luck, but we've put our infrared light on in preparation for the boundless luck that we are sure to certainly encounter immediately around this corner as we approach. Oh, there might actually be tracks on the road there as we approach Treehouse Dam. Let's go and have a look-see. So today we've had the Nkuhumas, wild dogs twice, both. Tingana the leopard, who continues his sort of ceaseless march around his territory. It really is quite phenomenal how far he keeps going. And what else have we had? Just some beautiful sunset, beautiful skies, really quite a lot of luck. Jamie even had an elephant earlier on this morning. Right, we'll get abreast of Treehouse Dam here and then we'll switch off and listen. Right, we're going to stop and just have a little bit of a squiz over the dam there. Gail, you say, what incident of animal behavior has most astounded me and most surprised me? You know, Gail, I find it so difficult to answer questions like this because I should probably keep notes, but I don't keep a note of every astounding thing I see. So it's difficult to say. You know what comes to mind, but I haven't actually seen in real life, but I've edited footage from it, was the amazing situation that developed at a place called Mombo in Botswana, where a wild dog on its own created its own pack with a jackal, a couple of black-backed jackals, a pair of black-backed jackals. It used to regurgitate for them, feed the pups, protect them, look after them, and then, even more astonishingly, in came a hyena that used to, yes, certainly scavenge off them, but during the day they would all just sort of lie within very close proximity to each other and get on with life. I think that's one of the most amazing things I've heard of. I'm just trying to think of the most astonishing thing I've witnessed myself. You know, that has been surprising. And I'm really not sure. I mean, the other really astonishing thing, and I mean, I didn't actually see this happen, but I was around when it did happen. It was at Londolozi, that adoption of a young leopard cub by her grandmother. I think she was about 10 years old. She'd lost her cub, and her first daughter had just had new cubs. And from her daughter's new cub litter, she adopted one of the little ones. She was still lactating, and she took this cub on and raised it to adulthood, which was just quite astounding. Isn't that beautiful? The mole cricket's starting to call. Oh, it's a lovely scene. Cool air. It's not cold at all. It's really very pleasant. And I thought it was going to be quite a cold, cloudy day, but it certainly hasn't been. It's been magnificent. And of course that huge amount of dust in the air is what's given us those beautiful skies that we've had all afternoon. Alrighty, let's head on. You know, we've got the infrared on, so I think let's pop past the hyena den perhaps and see if the little ones are around. Oh, and just quickly go back across to Tristan.
Well, there we go. You can see that we finally caught up with Tingana in some semblance of an open area. He's come out onto the road and we can actually now see him now. He should be coming past us here as he continues his scent marking stroll. Sorry, I might have gotten in the way there a little bit because where he is. Now, you might find a light every now and then. That's just from one of the other vehicles. Hello, buddy. You have put us through hell and back. I've been hit by more branches this afternoon than the Income has put us through in 3 hours. And there he goes. He's now going to start drifting off into this thicket. I don't think we are going to even remotely try. It's also, he's crossed the cut line now into Simbambili, so we can't keep up with him anyway. But that was horrific. Thanks, Sips. So there we go. We're going to just watch him saunter off into the darkness because unfortunately that's as far as we can go. But luckily we got to see him one last time before he disappeared. I'm not sure Wendy is going to be okay from this experience. She may have hit 1 or 2 logs on her way. Now I'm going to try and see if I can't just quickly get into the road and just check her out because I think we might have lost the bar to our high left jack, which is not ideal. Poor Wendy. The things we do to her just to show some animals every now and then, she really does get sort of a bit punished. Now, Tingana's already so far out of the way that I can actually just quickly jump off now and check if I still have my high left jack bar, because that's not going to be useful if we don't. Yes, it's still here. Thank goodness for that. Ah, that's why. It's because it's not clipped. There we go. Whew. Craig, you still alive on the back there? Oh, you are. I'm glad that you're okay. I feel like that was a rather traumatic event that we just had. Right, there we go. Now we can just take a breath. What an amazing afternoon. That was craziness. Now, I don't want to do that again in a hurry, I can tell you that much. I've never seen a leopard drive that, or walk that quickly, should I say, and have me drive so fast. And if you look on Wendy's bonnet, look at what she looks like. She looks like a tree at the moment. She's got leaves everywhere. So poor Wendy has had a tough afternoon. And there we go. Wow. And she feels okay now that we're on a road. It's always quite difficult when you're in low range and you go through a thicket. Danielle, you're 8 years old. Hello, Danielle. I hope you're having a lovely day. You want to know how big a leopard's territory is? Well, it depends, Danielle, on if you're looking at a male or a female. Now, a male like what we just saw, Tingana, he's got a very big territory. So he's got a territory that is probably about, I would say his territory must be now about 7,000 hectares. So it's quite large, whereas something like a female, so if we thought about Shadow, which is the leopard that James is trying to find, that leopard doesn't have nearly as big a territory. Her territory is probably only about 2,500 hectares, which is about 5,000 acres, and the male's territory can be close to 20,000 acres, so that's how much bigger it can be. If you know the little royal young ones. So Shongila and Hosana, if you know them, they don't have territories yet, but they are still staying in the home range of Karula, which means that they have a fairly sort of, bronze-wing courser, a fairly small area at the moment that they're trying to sort of inhabit. Now, we've just come past one of my most favorite termite mounds, and because there's this beautiful sunset behind it, we're going to ask Craig to switch out of IR, and that's why we're all green for the new viewers that don't know. But this is one of the largest termite mounds we have, and with that sort of cloud and sunset behind it, isn't that beautiful? It would have been nice if Tingana had decided to sit on top. That would have made for an incredible picture. But nonetheless, it's still a massive, massive termite mound. You can see even the trees in the background sort of look dwarfed by the size of this termite mound. And it almost looks a bit volcano-ish with the clouds coming out the top of it. And sort of, it almost looks like the clouds are erupting out of the mound itself. So very nice. About 10 minutes ago, that would have been even better. The color was absolutely amazing. Right. Thank you, Craig. Time to carry on and start heading home. We're quite far away now. Tingana dragged us a lot further than I thought he would, so we're going to try and see if we can't start heading back and heading to some sanctity and give Wendy a bit of a break this afternoon. Shame, she's really worked hard today, and hopefully she will be okay by the time we get back and that we won't have to walk her home. That wouldn't be ideal. Well done, girl. Sometimes you've got to give Wendy a pat on the back. She's done this a few times, and it's been a tough sort of life for her, and she's well done message, and she's done a very good, she looks after and allows you to get through. We start heading our way back home. James Henry has got the idea, and I'm sure he's a lot further ahead than I am. So let's go across to him and see what he's doing.
Right, we're approaching the hyena den now, and we'll see if we can't see anything interesting here. I know that it looks a little bit eerie. That's because the infrared light is on, and I've turned all the other lights off, because we don't want to give anyone a fright by blinding them with incandescent lights or LED lights or any other kinds of lights. Yeah, we're just going to ease our way around the corner as the very, very last light of the day fades away. It is almost completely dark. Can you see anything there? I feel like there might be something there. No. No hyenas to speak of. Let's go around the corner. This infrared light is quite fantastic. We'll just look in here quickly. Anything in there? It's amazing how seemingly inactive this den has been for all of us. You know, we've had some wonderful sightings here, but they've been kind of interspersed with long periods of nothingness. Go last spot just round here, and then we'll pull out and see what else there is about the place. I say it all seems rather quiet. I haven't seen anything on my night drive at all. No, there's nothing here. Alright, we're going to go out of infrared. Turn on the normal lights. There we go. Excuse the quick swap of the lighting. Otherwise you'll have to look at me in sort of grainy black and white for the rest of the show. No, they don't, Laura. That's a really nice question. You say the chameleons still glow in the IR light. They don't, you know. They become, we've watched them in IR, they go invisible. Well, I mean, not invisible. You can still see them, You can still see their shapes, but they're not nearly as luminous or as fluorescent as they are when you shine and in sort of what we call it, visible light spectrum light on them. And of course we're not expecting to see too many chameleons now, given that we are nearly into the full winter. Whenever that might start, I don't suppose it really has a date. Alrighty, around the corner we go. And we will look for some chameleons and hope that the lions kill something tonight. Not for the sake of the thing that is killed, we'll feel sorry for them, but it would be very nice if they spent a bit more time here, possibly on a buffalo kill. I'm just listening now on the radio to what they're doing. They're just starting to get mobile. They're not doing much, pretty much in the same place where we were, but I'm 90% sure that those lionesses are going to hunt tonight. They look pretty hungry, and I don't think the little ones will be helping them at this stage. I don't think any of them are quite old enough. The year-old, no, I don't think so. I think they'll probably still be left, and then they'll join the hunt. Maybe they're following at a distance these days. I think it would normally be around 18 months that they stop being a complete hindrance to the hunt. So they've got a little way to go yet. And like I say, the youngest, unless I'm much mistaken, and many of you have corrected me on this a number of times, but I think the oldest ones were probably born in May last year and the youngest in July. And I so remember those absolutely delightful little teddy bear shaped cubs that we found in that little drainage line, and the tremendous amount of joy they gave us. And unfortunately 2 of those little teddy bears of July died because of the white mussel disease that befell them come the end of the dry season last year. But otherwise the pride's doing very well. We're easing on to quarantine, where maybe there will be some form of animal life that we can view either with our infrared lights or with nothing. Not a sign of a chameleon, not a sign of a bush baby. Alrighty, we'll do a quick search around quarantine here. In the meantime, I believe Tristan's back on Djuma, so let's go and find out what's going on with him.
Well, we are. We're back on Djuma. Everything is wonderful. It's been an amazing afternoon, so I'm thoroughly chuffed with life. It's been a great day. In fact, in general, we've gone through hell and back, but we've seen some amazing things, so it's been a really, really good afternoon for sure. So hopefully tomorrow will be the same. A bit more of that on Saturday would be very, very, very welcome. I'm sure you would all agree. But other than that, we're going to try and see if we can't spot one last thing on our way. I'm still keeping an eye out for Shadow, because those tracks of hers, she does sometimes come up into this area. So we're just underneath the power lines that run off Triple M towards sort of Djuma camp. So sometimes she does end up in this area. So I'm just slowly driving along, trying to scan for her in case she does pop out somewhere here. Now, that would be really a cherry on the top if we did see that. But the good news is that if she does head towards that den area, maybe we'll find her in the morning. So, Ali, wondering if I have a favorite leopard. This is such a tough thing, because I do, but then I think about another one, and then I think, well, I like that one too, because I have a problem with leopards. I'm a bit infatuated with them, so it is a bit of a problem. But my favorite female that we see here, or in fact actually over time, has been Tundi. I really, really, really like Tundi, and in fact her and Tiani, the 2 females, are tied as my favorite females that we see in these areas. Tiani I just like because I got to watch her from when she was 8 weeks old until she is now, well, until now. We see her sometimes as well. So she's a really, really beautiful leopard. And Tundi I saw when she had her first litter, was when I first met her, just before she had her first litter. So I've seen her also grow, and become this incredible mom, and she is always sort of boxed way out of her sort of weight category. The fact that she brings down fully grown waterbuck and kudu, even though she's a relatively small leopard in comparison to others, always astounds me. So she's one of my favorite females. And then in terms of males are difficult because I've seen so many in my time, and I've really been fortunate enough to have seen some of the biggest legends of the Sabi Sands. I've seen Kampan male, I've seen Kashan male, I've seen Mvula, Tingana, I've seen Jordan before he disappeared, and even some of the males down in the south like Umbavala and Sand River males. So I've seen a lot of the real iconic males from the Sabi Sands, which has been an absolute privilege. But there really is two leopards that have always sort of captured my attention more than others, and have always driven me to try and find them more and more, and that is Anderson and Imsahwen. Now Imsahwen is Anderson's father, and he used to be seen back in the day, and they are both absolute brutes of a leopard. They are massive individuals, and they really are just sort of got this aura about them that is difficult to describe. When you look at both of those leopards, they almost looked straight through you into the back of your skull and sort of analyzed every little bit of you. So it was quite an amazing thing to sort of spend time around both of those males. They are sort of animals that were, well, I doubt I'll see sort of more of them around. I know Umbavala is also a massive individual, but I just didn't get the same sort of aura from him as I used to get from Imsahwen and Anderson. So those are my two favorite males, and then we've got, like I say, Tandi and Tiani as my favorite females. Currently though, in the adolescent bunch, my favorite youngster at the moment is definitely Tumba. I have a soft spot for him. He's got those big ears and massive paws and beautiful sort of dark eyes. He's really very pretty. So he's my favorite of the younger generation that is coming through at the moment, and time will tell. I do have a soft spot for Shangile too, but we haven't seen much of her lately, so it would be really nice if she decided to come back. Now I can see my friend James Henry is just coming around the corner and is busy looking at me, so I'm going to probably allow him to go first and let him get home before we do, since we are going to probably say goodbye to all of you. So this afternoon has been a great pleasure, and today has been a great pleasure. I know Jamie had a wonderful morning with the wild dogs. James has enjoyed his time with the Nkahuma Pride. I enjoyed my time with the Nkahuma Pride this morning as well. And then this afternoon it just seems like more of the same, where we had, Tingana, the wild dogs. So it's been an absolute privilege to have you all with us. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Craig, did you have fun today? Craig had fun today as well. He might have got beaten up a bit on the back of Wendy, but he had a good time. So from James Henry, Fergus, Jamie and Sebastian and myself and Craig, it really has, like I say, been a great pleasure, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari, and hopefully it'll be an action-packed Saturday.